This video is a summary of the tools we have in the main tool cabinet in our shop. So let's start over here. On the left-hand door, we have snap ring pliers, internal and external. We have some tin snips. This specialty tool is for constant velocity joints, this pair of pliers. This tool here is for loosening or removing or putting back in place spring-loaded clamps that are used on rad hoses for the cooling system. This pair of pliers is used for pinching off fuel lines so fuel doesn't leak out if you had to change a fuel filter. Same with these, they're used to just pinch off the fuel line. We have some vice grip pliers. We got an adjustable wrench, same here. These are adjustable, like slip jaw pliers, these are called. They are adjustable, but they're called slip jaw pliers. And these are called linesman's pliers because they do a little bit of everything. They can cut like side cutting pliers. They got wide jaws for pinching. So they're used by hydro workers, so they call them linesman's pliers. These are called general purpose pliers because they basically do the same as this, but these work a little better, I think. And then needle nose pliers, side cutting pliers. We have some oil filter wrenches. Of course, our tape measure. This tool here is for opening up battery cable terminals, so you can put the end over top of the post on a battery. These are used for checking the spark on a running engine, these tools here. Of course, tape, so electrical tape, masking tape, pair of scissors. Some wire strippers for stripping the wire before you solder it for some electrical circuits. This tool here is used for, well, both these are used for gapping spark plugs. This one can be used for putting a spark plug in. You put the spark plug in this end, and then you can turn it to work the spark plug into the threaded hole of the cylinder head. This is a feeler gauge used for checking clearances. And this is used for also gapping spark plugs in conjunction with that tool. We have a little mirror so you can find something that you might have dropped into the engine bay. Pressure gauge for air, for tires, same with this one. This is an air chuck that's used for putting air in tires. This little tool is to take the valve core out of a valve stem so you can let the air out. This is also used for putting air in tires. That's another air chuck. This tool is used for grinding the rubber on the inside of a tire so you can put a patch on. This tool here is used for checking the amount of tread left on a tire. So it's a tread depth gauge. This is used for pulling a valve stem through the rim on a tire that has a tube so it doesn't fall back in and then you have to somehow reach through the rim to get it. And these two tools here, we call them the pizza cutters, they're used for working the air bubbles out of a patch once you put a patch onto a tire tube. Then we have a little tool here, this blue one. It has a little, when I push this end, it's used for reaching into engine bays to grab a bolt that you might have dropped in there. And then we have a magnet tool. The one with the orange handle is a magnet tool so you can grab onto something metal that might have fallen into an engine bay. So that's the left-hand door. Alright. Oh, I never covered these. Oh my goodness. Brake tools. So if you're going to do the brake activity, drum brakes, this tool here takes the hold down springs off, and this tool here is to remove and replace the return springs. And these are just different varieties of the same tool. And this one here is used for setting the clearance when you turn the adjuster wheel on drum brakes. This tool here is used for pulling a valve stem, a brand new valve stem, through the rim and popping it into place on a tubeless tire. This tool is used for pushing the caliper piston back into the caliper itself, into the bore. And this tool is used for rear disc brakes, so the caliper on the rear disc brakes, for turning the caliper piston back into its bore. And now I think I've got everything on that door. Oh, geez, I still missed this one. Here's a framing square, but we use it as a straight edge for when we use this. We're also using the feeler gauge when we want to check warpage on cylinder heads. And there's another one under there. So that's what we use that for. Now that's the left-hand door. Go to the right-hand door. We got different hammers. We got plastic hammer, so it's plastic ends. Ball peen hammers. Oh geez, what's the kind of hammer I'm thinking of here? A little baby sledgehammer. A rubber mallet for putting on hubcaps. A claw hammer, just because you never know, maybe we got to take something apart in the shop here. This tool here is for taking the inner tie rods out of the for the steering system, for removing them. And then we got a couple long screwdrivers, Phillips slot, and then some stubby screwdrivers of various types. And these are all screwdrivers, Torx, so they have the 6 points on them. Robertson, even though cars don't use Robertson, we need them in here for doing some work in the shop for woodworking. Slot screwdriver, so it's just flat on the end, and Phillips. It has the X end on it. Chisels have, you can see how they're sharpened, so it's got one long straight edge that's sharp for cutting maybe bolt heads off or something like that. Center punch, this shouldn't be here, that's a, oh this should. Center punch has a sharp end on the end, so we hit it with a hammer onto a piece of metal, and it'll put a dimple into the piece of metal, so when we drill that piece of metal, the drill bit will not waver all over the place. It'll stay in that little dimple we created. Lining punches, as you can see, they're wider at this end than they are at this end, but they have a flat edge. And the whole idea is if you have two pieces of metal with holes drilled in them and you're trying to line those pieces of metal up, you can put that through and bend it, like put some force into it and line those holes up so you can put a bolt through maybe. And then pin punches, they have a flat end, but they're straight. The shaft, it's not like this where it's tapered. It's just straight. And here we have a pin punch holder, so you can hold the punch with this tool and not your hand like this, and if the hammer slips, you're gonna hurt your thumb really bad. So use this tool to hold these devices. Pry bars, don't use a screwdriver as a pry bar, use a pry bar to pry something apart. This tool here is used to remove the belt, like the serpentine belt, the accessory drive belt. So different adapters. And up here, these tools are used to disconnect the outer tie rod end from the steering knuckle, or a lower ball joint from the bottom A-arm. And that is the right-hand door. All right, we got some files, flat files, round files, all sorts of different coarse, different patterns on them, right, for shaping. We got some scrapers for scraping gaskets off items. And this is called an impact driver. The bits are not here, the bits are in the front cupboard. You put a bit in here, and when you hit this end with a hammer, the whole idea is it will loosen. Usually if you have a screw that's holding a rear brake drum on, you would use this tool to remove that screw, so it snaps it loose. It gives it a really hard, kind of like an impact on it, hence why it's called an impact driver, and that'll remove it. Then we just got a screwdriver here with different bits. We can put different bits in here. Flare nut wrenches. Well, before we get to that, first of all, notice on this tool cabinet, this side is imperial, this side is metric. So imperial tools, metric tools, all right? So all these different combination wrenches, these are all metric, and all these combination wrenches are imperial. These are long ones, and here's the equivalent, but we call these stubbies. They're still combination wrenches, but we call them stubbies because they're really short. We even have ratchet wrenches that have a ratchet in the end, so they're really easy and quick to use, and they flex, which makes them very handy. All right, so we have those both metric and imperial. Now, for ratchets, 1/2 inch drive, So the little square there, if you measure across, is 1/2 inch. So 1/2 inch drive, 3/8 drive, because if I measure from edge to edge on that little square, it's 3/8 of an inch. And then 1/4 inch drive. So if I measure from that little square from one edge to the other, it's 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 inch drive, 1/2 inch drive, 3/8 inch drive. And for each one of those we have a variety of extensions, universal joints, mini ratchets that go on the end of the extension, speed handles to operate the sockets. And when it comes to extensions, we have ones for the impact gun. Notice there's no chrome on them. There's the universal joint for the impact gun. Then we have what are called torque bars. So if I pull this off here, these are extensions for the impact gun. And if I look on here, this one says 80 foot-pounds. So when I put this on the impact gun and use it, it'll tighten that fastener. That socket on the end will tighten the fastener, whatever it is we're tightening, to 80 foot-pounds. So there's different foot-pound values on each one of these. And they're very quite musical too. Oh, isn't that pretty? All right, so then we have our sockets. Once again, imperial, metric. And since we have 3 ratchet drive sizes, we have the same here. We have sockets that fit the 1/2 inch drive ratchet, the 3/8 inch drive ratchet, and the 1/4 inch drive ratchet. And that goes for the metric over here too. We also have sockets that are made for the impact gun. So there's the non-chrome 1/2 inch drive for the impact gun, and same over here. We also have universal joint sockets for metric and imperial, right? Because they swivel, they flex, so they're very handy for tight spots to get into. We have some larger impact sockets here for the axle nuts on vehicles, and we have what are called Torx sockets. So if I look at this, there's 6 little points to it. That's becoming a very common item on vehicles nowadays. And these ones are external and these are internal. So it's still a Torx, but it's an internal Torx. We have hex sockets, or or Allen key sockets you could call them. And it's just a hex. So 6 sides, so 6 points. It's not 6 sides. 5 sides, 6 points. There we go. My goodness. And then we have some adapters, drive size adapters. So I can use this one and run a 3/8 inch drive socket with a 1/4 inch drive ratchet. Or I could use this one and run a 1/4 inch drive socket with a 3/8 inch ratchet. And same here. We can work back and forth. Different size sockets can be used with different size ratchets. And then we have our spark plugs, spark plug sockets, 13/16, 5/8, specially made to put spark plugs in. Oxygen sensor socket and oil pressure socket, different drivers. Crow's feet wrenches for metric and imperial. They are a flare style, so 6 point, kind of like a flare nut wrench. All right. Thread pitch gauges over here, and this little tool will tell us the diameter of the bolt we're working with. So that is everything on the center there. And then of course down below we have the electric grinder, our electric drill, a heat gun, a reciprocating saw. We got our wire brushes, and our hacksaws. We got a little air hose here if we need just a really short one. We got some gloves, impact guns. We got 2 impact guns. This should be over here. And then our air ratchet. All right. And then our air hammer, cut-off tool, the accessories for it. And over here we have a little blowgun to clean parts off with, and another air pressure gauge with it's got the gauge and the chuck on it, so we can put air in a tire and check it all at the same time. And down below we have some axle stands and our transmission jack and our floor jacks. And that is the main tool cabinet. So it gives you an overview. So if you're not sure which tool is which, you can watch this little video and it should hopefully help you.